Welcome to episode 3 of the Dante Diaries, a companion podcast to My Blood Inc., written and directed by Jay Cottle. My name is Taniqua, a lover of storytelling of all kinds, and president of the author Jay Cottle's fan club, Anakin's Alchemy. On today's episode, we will be discussing episode 3, The Seven Sovereigns. Joining us today is the mastermind, author and director Jay Cottle, and genius composer of all the music and leitmotifs you heard in this episode, Miguel Landestoy. Lastly, our special guest, Jasmine Garcia, actress, boss bitch, and your favorite sassy queen, Namaka, queen of the fierce tides. Welcome, friends.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Woo. This episode is my favorite episode. Full stop. Just gonna go ahead and put that out there. Episode 3, as for a brief recap, episode 3 begins with Dante taking a moment to recognize his brilliance and his death. Love that for him. We introduced to the beauty and grandeur of Atlantis before being met by forces bigger than the sea, literally and figuratively. Dante is taken to custody by 3 of the 7 sovereigns, Salacia, Sasano, and my baby daddy, Koikoi Vilu. Don't kink shame me. After a brief questioning, Dante is brought to the Hall of Sovereigns and questioned by all 7 sovereigns regarding his presence in Atlantis. After a contentious convening and visit by the ancestors, Dante is engulfed by the pageantry of the sovereigns, receiving an intimate introduction into the divine septentry. So, Queen, should we give them a show?
Oh boy, Dragon Daddy is diabolical.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Look, he's
No.
a big dragon daddy who only speaks in pictures, and I love it. Okay, I love it.
You know, you do you.
Amen.
Look, I'm just saying I love a strong and silent type, and if you're gonna wrap me in your tail, let's do it.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I love that.
Oh my god, the fanfic. And if there are any fanfics, she's
I love
always
it.
started it.
Shit
How you
me.
know, like, stories
Shit
run
me.
away from you, because never in life would I have thought that Koi Vilu, which has no voice actor, is just
No.
sound effects and vibes, would
Yep.
be like the thirst trap of the sovereigns. Hilarious.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, I also love Susano, but honestly, Koikoi Vilu is my baby daddy.
Listen, I'm here for it.
And I say that as my partner sits here next to me because we don't kink shit. Anyway, Jasmine, welcome to the Dante Diaries.
Yay.
Woo! Could you please introduce yourself and share your favorite part of playing Namaka?
Yeah, so hello. My name is Jasmine Garcia, and I play Namaka. I don't know.
Where are you from?
I'm
Sounds like Bronx
from.
Russian. Yeah. Russian who emigrated here like 7-8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a new time for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Anastasia vibes.
Yes,
vibes.
she owns a coffee shop, but no one goes in there. But it's actually magical. It's one of those. That's what this is.
Oh my gosh. But yes, I play Namaka, one of the 7 sovereigns, in My Blood the Ink. And this was my first time being a voice actor. So it was also interesting because I've been a singer most of my life, but I've never even recorded in a studio. So the fact that even my first time being in a studio was for acting and was for this audio drama, I think is kind of crazy. And my favorite part of the process, during the time
Yeah.
or this episode,
Yep.
process.
What was your process in developing your voice for Namaka and fleshing out a character?
Namaka, really interestingly, it's when I was reading her, I was just like, oh, so she's just me, so I'm just playing like myself. And Jay was just like, perhaps, but maybe she should be her own kind of person. Let's distinguish her from you just a little bit. So yeah, so first of all, I loved her. I love her power. I love her strength. And I don't want to speak too much because it's only episode 3, but you will learn a lot about her. I'll say she has feelings. She has lots of feelings. Um, and that was also really fun to explore, even as like an actress. And in terms of like coming up with like her voice, that was really really fun because basically Jay and I just were in his living room, and we were just like playing, like just kind of choosing one like monologue or section of the script, and was just like like doing it in like many different ways. I feel like at one point, oh, what's her name? I feel like I kind of even did like an Umbridge kind of feel from Harry Potter. I feel like I went really Valley Girl in some parts. I once did try to make an English accent, but that didn't make any kind of sense because she's Polynesian. So it was a good old trial and error. And you know how you hear about people who's just like, I have to like get into character. Like I need to like, and funny enough, I did actually have to do that in terms of her voice because she's like, has like this kind of soft, place in like my pitch. And sorry, my laptop's trying to tell me something. Not right now. And so I would always have like this one line that I would get into her voice with, and that was, "What about you, mortal?" And it sits like at like the top, somewhere in here. Singers know what I mean. But yeah, no, and the whole process was really fun. Being in the studio with everyone was really fun, especially like with this group of people. There are people who we've met like along the way, either like administratively or in an artistic way, whether it be through music or just like kind of mutual appreciation. So like these are also friendships that have grown through time, and so for all of us to come together and feel comfortable with each other was really really great.
I love that. And for as a part of developing the character, I'm not. I didn't do deep research, but is Namaka a real deity in some form of mythology, or is she made up? So I'm wondering about like when you're researching Namaka, was it just through the script, or did you have to like learn about her history?
Yeah, so she is a real deity, but there isn't much information on her, at least none that I could find that would kind of give me intel in terms of like this character. So I would say I really did more so rely on the script, in terms of what is it that she cares about, what are her goals, how she views the world. Yeah, so I would say more so the script for this.
Yeah, when I was kind of trying to decide who would be the sovereigns, and this is something that'll come up a lot, I think. I like to do all the research and then kind of then go like this way with it. And so I didn't want to use like the most populars because I'm like we've heard those stories and I'm more interested. Plus, I feel like low key I get to have more creative freedom with the ones that people know the least about. So I'm just like I'm not gonna have like whole cultures up in my DMs being like, "How dare you? You need to leave." You know what I mean? So, Koi Koi Vilu, so hard to find anything about him. It's from like a mythology that doesn't even really exist anymore. Same thing with Tam Kung. Namaka had some stuff, but she had a lot more famous siblings like Pele, who is like a fire lava goddess. People know her, very popular. Namaka not so much. Even Selassie, the wife of Neptune, I was just like, yeah, let's kill Neptune off. Yeah, let's just like not have him. Why always the man? Let's go with his wife. So I think it then allowed us the freedom to kind of create these more individualized takes on these characters. I'd say the most popular one is probably like Susanoo that exists. Susanoo and Olokun are probably the most like famous members of that pantheon. But yeah.
Okay, cool. I have more questions about like the audition process for the cast, but I want to get into the convening first, the sovereign convening. Did you all record that together, or did you do it separately? And if not, or if so, did you do a table read in advance to make sure that you got the like correct emotions right?
That's a me question.
I was gonna say, go ahead, Jess.
You make the schedule.
Sorry, no, it's a huge question. It's actually for both of you, but also Miguel. Were you in the room when it happened?
I have not. I was not in the room where it happened. This is not Hamilton. I am not Lin-Manuel Miranda. But I did see and base a lot of my compositions off of the virtual table reads that y'all did, like just over Zoom and really getting a feel for it. And honestly, like, I was floored because like they were table reads, but they already felt solid. Usually, folks don't have a concept of character yet. They're just kind of reading just to get a flow. But that wasn't the case with the table reads that I saw. So I'll leave it to that. But I actually never went into the studio to watch y'all do your thing because I wanted to be kind of surprised.
Yeah, Miguel.
It wasn't that I was busy or nothing like that or whatever. But no,
Sure.
but no, it's been so fun to see to get the finished rough draft, and write based off of that because y'all are all just amazing performers.
Yeah, they really are. I'll talk a little bit about structure. I'll leave the recording session to you, Jazz. But typically, what we do is it's very strange because I did a wild thing in that we started this process before I finished writing. Okay, and so it was just like, all right, here's a new script. Okay, y'all, here's some more scripts. All right, here's another batch of scripts. So it was a lot of that. And yeah, we always started with a table read. And then I did, these are really, as Miguel said, these are very talented people. And the good part of that is that they're talented. The harder part of that is that they're booked. So scheduling these actors has shaved about 7 years off of my life. And so what we really did was focus on one-on-one character sessions with folks, because in my mind, if you have a deep connection or understanding of the character, it's a little bit easier to play those dynamics off of each other, even if we don't get to rehearse the fuller thing all the time. So it was a lot of table reads, individual sessions, and then, polishing and hitting some things when we would kind of get them there as a group. But a lot of what was recorded this season happened and discovered in the moment, in the room, in the booth.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'll speak on like our the recording sessions. So I think for the most part we were always trying to have everybody in the room, like to give it like an in-person feel as much as like we can, to like actually allow the actors to like be in like a scene together and like look at each other and respond, than just kind of doing it on your own, which of course like still did happen, and I'm sure happened at least for almost everyone when they had their monologues, because I think everyone at some point does, whether it's a backstory, whether it's an emotional moment. And yeah, it was just super fun. And it's funny that you were like, and what was your audition process like? I'm like, audition?
Right.
It was a more of a voluntelling kind of situation.
Typical. Yeah, no.
Yeah, right. It's like probably with Miguel too. He's just like, yeah, no, I was just told I got a schedule and I had to be somewhere and I had a project to do now. But like, yes, I think it's so interesting in terms of me and Jay. We always say how like, for being friends, we are also like the most intertwined. In terms of like our lives. At one point we were roommates, and then we created Dunamis together, and then we created, or I'm a producer as well with Akim's Alchemy, like, and then Petrichor, being in a band together, like all of like these things. And so I think
she's obsessed is what she's saying.
You're funny.
Shots fired.
Do not let the people think that. It's more of a Jay is just like, hey, so I'm gonna do this thing. Do you want to do it with me? Yeah, okay. We'll set up a meeting. Like, that's kind of how it worked out.
I will say there were technically auditions.
There were.
What was sad about it is I've only had COVID once, And the one time I had COVID, it was the day of auditions and the week I was supposed to perform with my friend for her concert. I was like, of course this would happen. So I had to attend virtually, and it was really more about just like, what are kind of their ways of being, like what depths can they hit, what's their humor like. And it was honestly helpful because, as I mentioned, I was kind of doing things in batches, and so it actually became a lot easier to kind of write to what I knew they could do. And so that's why there for sure is like a chunk of their personalities in each of these. Like I know that like these people like to be really big and do like big character-y stuff, and these people like to. So it was helpful in that way. And then also, last thing I'll add is the day that we recorded a good chunk of episode 3. If you listen to episode 2. There's like the death chatter, like while the ship is being destructed, and almost impossible to get through as we just like improv'd all of that together with everybody. Just so random, much nonsense, but hilarious, and honestly one of my favorite moments in the booth from this season. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they were perfectly cast, and we talked about that last week, because I was like, Jasmine, I'm sure you listened to the episode, so you know, but we were talking about how I heard you, like I distinctly knew it was you. I don't know what you were saying, but it was something ridiculous, and I was cackling as I'm listening to people die, because I'm just like, what, Jasmine, what?
I can't even tell you what I was doing. I know at one point Jay is just like, I want to say like a German priest, or maybe he's just a German man and he's praying. So then I decided to jump on that bandwagon. It was just like, en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo. I was just like, what? You know, it was
international crew, very cosmopolitan.
Yeah, it was very, very. You know, it speaks to the world that you're building. Well, that answered my casting question, so I'm gonna go back to other questions. First of all, just well done, fully well done on this episode. It has everything that I love about storytelling. It's beautiful world building in the introduction to Atlantis. It's larger than life characters in meeting the 7 sovereigns. The sibling squabbles within the 7 sovereigns. A main character's fate hanging in the balance, because you know. When isn't it, you know, in a good story. And then of course just bringing it all together is the music that allows to really bring a coherence to the story, which of course was there before, but like it just rounds it out in your experience of it. And so I would love to know, like, how was just this episode? How was the writing of it? What was it like recording? And Miguel, what was it like composing for today's episode?
I can start if you'll.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was like, please do. I'm so sorry. Also, I'm like, I'm gonna plug in my laptop before. I didn't know she was gonna die. I'd hate to just.
Yeah, do
Here
that.
she go.
Do that.
But yeah, Miguel, if you want to talk about the music first, because I was trying to remember the chord progressions for "I Love the Sea" or "I Am the Sea," but it's beautiful. Like, and I have another question about that, but it's like one of my favorite chord progressions.
Thank you. I struggled with this episode a lot, honestly, because for those of y'all who have been listening to the Dante Diaries, you know that Jay and I got together, wrote a bunch of little leitmotif for some characters and some groups of people and some ideas and stuff like that. But from there, I'm not a traditional composer, in that I don't write everything down. I'm an improviser. So I very often, I'll write a base idea and then I will improvise off of that to develop more ideas, right? That also requires you to be able to play. And unfortunately, I do have some hand injuries that get in the way of that sometimes, where I can't really play for, a couple of days or stretches of time. So in the middle of working on this episode, I had like a 5-day stretch where I couldn't really use my right hand very much, which made things just difficult. Yeah, it's frustrating, but we work on it, and everyone's super flexible with their overall schedules. Everyone gets it. We're all working on this thing together, which is really just awesome. So while I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself to get things done, I know that if I don't, we'll figure it out. So that was great. But so the Sovereigns theme, I didn't get the kind of playfulness that kind of goes on with the Sovereigns. It's very, very playful, terrifying, and playful. And I felt that the Sovereigns theme was a little too serious. And we kind of workshopped it with Jay and whatever, but we kind of sat down with like, oh no, it should be this kind of regal thing. It can be pensive because it's kind of foreboding. These people might be playful right now, but just you wait, But overall, I like where things came out, and we were able to come out with a couple of nice pieces of music, especially with Atlantis coming in there too.
I would say, just before you interject, I think that that's perfect, right? Because it speaks to the emotions and experiences that Dante is having around these sovereigns. Like, his life is hanging in the balance. We don't really hear a lot of Dante in this episode, but you feel it musically. You feel it in the soundscape, even if you don't hear it through Dante. So I think that what you did was amazing. And I'm sure, even though you workshopped it changed. I think it would have met the moment regardless. So, just want to lift that up. He's Miguel. You can't. Like, you literally can't.
Yes. Always would have happened. I was never
Stop it.
But honestly, similarly, this was a very hard episode to write. This was probably the hardest episode, one of the hardest episodes to write, for a few reasons. One is it had so much to do. It needed to introduce Atlantis. It needed to introduce the Sovereigns. It was, as Sneakwa mentioned, it went from being so Dante heavy in the narration to like not, and I was like, am I ceding too much story away? But I also needed these figures to like put a real strong stamp. Plus, it was really difficult introducing 7 new characters at once, because one thing that I hate in fantasy books is you pick up a book and it's like, Rojaja of the Elohim and Boobajavu, and I'm just like, it's too many names. Who are these people? It's too much. And so like it's a pet peeve of mine. So I'm like, how do you I'm not taking notes in a story. And so I knew that like if I were gonna do that, they had to like leave really strong impressions on people, so that there could be some clarity. And it's also part of why I introduced 3 of them first and then 4 more later, just to try to not overwhelm us. So yeah, and then honestly, it was also the day that like I really felt like I cracked the code on dialogue, because I also knew that like they needed to feel distinctly themselves. And when I was trying to write them like, this is clever, that's clever, it was just like, you're trying too hard. But when it was really just, how would this person who behaves this way react to somebody saying this thing or doing this thing? And it just became a series of responses. Then I was just like, okay, this feels better, and I have a better sense of like understanding of who they are. So definitely a tough episode. I say one of my weaknesses as a writer is descriptive language, and I was just like, I can't not describe Atlantis. So I was just like, so there was just a lot of things I felt like I was pushing through to be able to like land the plane with this episode. So yeah, interesting that both Miguel and I kind of struggled, but I think it came out well.
To your point, I think it did. Like we got such a beautiful picture of Atlantis in the introduction of it. It truly, like, I don't think this was your intention, but it to me personally, it felt like the scene in Wakanda Forever, where we go down and we meet the underwater world of Talokan. Like, it was that experience that I had when I saw it in the movie. I had that listening to you. So I personally think you hit the nail on the head, and I know I'm a little biased, but just as like a reader and someone who loves storytelling, like it hit to me.
Thank you.
So sorry to have left in, but now I'm back. And I'm assuming the question was thoughts on episode 3 and the experience in creating it. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I think that episode 3, in terms of my work, it was smaller in comparison to further episodes. But as you were talking, and obviously, like, as I've been listening to the episodes, I do think it's interesting of like my experience of My Blood the Ink has been through Namaka's eyes, and the audience is walking through it through Dante's eyes. And so, like, even when you're talking about like, oh my gosh, like he's describing like this place and Atlantis, and he's walking in to see all of the sovereigns, and he's scared, doesn't know if he's gonna die, like all of like these things. I've been looking at it through Namaka's eyes, and then it's just like, who's this random man from Atlanta? And like, who is this? Why is he here? But you know what? I'm bored. What are you up to? What's your deal, bro? Because at least in this moment in time, I could care less. Namaka could care less about this random person, but she loves to play with the dynamics of this group of her fellow sovereigns. And I think that she's always interested in something that she doesn't quite know about. She's like, I'm pretty good at kind of sussing out what's going on and what people need, and I don't quite have my finger on you, so yeah, you should be around to see what's up. And I feel like you definitely kind of see that sibling dynamic, especially at least I feel with Namaka. She literally even kind of like clocks everybody at one point. So yeah.
I find it funny that I'm just like, y'all, this episode was crazy. The music, the conversations, the world building. And y'all are just like, this episode was
No, but it was good. And the fact that like you're having that and feeling that, like, also I just think that we're just in like a different like perspective, but like you as an audience member like listening to it, like that's the hope. That's the goal.
Yeah.
You're making me feel better.
Well, I'm glad, and it's just like if it wasn't good, I'd be like, hey, so maybe. But like this was really, really, really fucking good.
So this episode happened.
Yeah. I was like, great. So on episode 4, episode 5, like that could have been it, you know. But so speaking of the music, I want to go back to the I love the sea, I am the sea theme. As I was saying, Miguel, the chords are butter. I know last time you had your piano next to you, and I was like, could you play the chords? Because I was like trying to remember it, but y'all know that I don't remember my part when we sing together, so didn't remember it. But the music in this week's episode was amazing, and it felt full-bodied. And so also the listeners will notice that the music in the beginning of the episode is the theme of the podcast. So we're coming full circle. What was your process in creating the music for the introduction to Atlantis and the I Am the Sea exploration?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So for the sovereigns, I was kind of describing it to Jay when we were trying to fix it. I was like, this is why I'm thinking of this kind of thing. It's built on a lot of in music what we call fourths, and fourths are one of the only intervals that you can call perfect. You can't say a fourth is minor or major. It's either perfect or it's diminished or augmented. It's a very theoretically, it's just an extremely important interval when it comes to anything we talk about in Western tonal theory, because it has a lot of weight, basically. So the whole chord progression is based in intervals of fourths, because perfection, because deity, because gods, because it holds a lot of weight. So that's kind of how it came up with it, and the rest of it is just trying to make sure it doesn't sound bad, because you can make stuff sound bad, even when you're using all these crazy theoretical words, because music isn't theory. But the when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about.
I love it.
It's supposed to feel powerful and kind of odd, and that the Atlantis theme, Jay, when we were talking about it, was kind of explaining this descent into futurism, kind of like the further down we go, the more advanced things get. And I just like the glittery kind of nature of electric pianos, and the acoustic pianos I use in most of the other bits of the score when we're on land. But if you notice, things kind of shimmer in between acoustic and electric pianos a lot in this episode. That's kind of how it came about. And there's more to the Atlantis theme that you haven't heard yet, because it'll come later. But that's why that very glittery kind of piano sound is kind of waving through back from acoustic to electric. That's kind of the idea, and I'll leave it there to not spoil anything else.
The Atlantis theme is one of my favorite of Miguel's compositions. It's such a vibey vibe, and I just feel like I always tell me I get like Steven Universe vibes, not of like the songs, but of like the soundtrack of the like like little bits that happen there that just feel like I used to go to bed to them, and this for me is very much like I could sleep to this, and like I'm underwater, and all the lights are purple and blue, and the anemones are floating by as like a fucking car does too, and that's amazing, and I'm just like sleeping now. So yeah, that's the vibe of the Atlantis thing for me.
Can I say that this is what you wrote, which knowing you is going to sound really big, but I mean it wholeheartedly, and it's true. It, to me, is exactly what I want to feel like when I think of Black fantasy musically. Like when we're just like, it doesn't have to be white people and a string orchestra and yada yada. It could be, perfect fourths making up that I and the C chord. And it's just like, it's like I feel seen, I feel loved, I understand, like I fully understand. And so it's just brilliant. And it's just who you are, Miguel, it's who you fucking are. So I really just wanted to lift that up because I love the music. I literally was listening to it. So for everyone listening, you get the full picture at the same time listening to the recording, and I listened to it in parts. I had the music in one part and then listening to the episode. And so it was awesome to be able to, it was actually really cool to be able to hear it separately, but in its context. And yeah, this feels like really, like a cornerstone for what Black fantasy can sound like. And it's not always just hip-hop music, you know what I mean? Like when you're watching it in a movie, it doesn't have to be hip-hop music. It could be that twinkling electric piano. And I think I really enjoyed, just as its own character within the world building, the theme of it being old meets new. And that the juxtaposition of like the Celtic ruins with the sea turtle that I freaking love, the sea turtle that has like a technological mechanism in it, and I was just like, a sea turtle, and you open the mouth and you're flying. I'm just like, this is everything I love. This is everything. So I just want to make sure I say that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, friend.
These are your flowers, Miguel.
Yeah, all of the flowers. You're welcome. Just playing Not Like Us in the background when you were word. My last question, then I have a mini game, is each introduction was so poignant, as we discussed, and it was so easy to understand and fall in love with each of them. Each sovereign not only feels like a part of the sea, but a part of all of us all, which makes up the whole. As you mentioned, as Olokun mentioned, it's the sovereigns themselves and the things that you experience are parts of a whole orchestra that make up who someone is, and just makes up the sea. And so I'm wondering, was that your intention in the creation of each sovereign? And just,
yeah,
I would love everybody's opinion on that, and if you felt the same way.
It's a couple things. I think in exploring the sovereigns, I was looking at again, I needed ways to differentiate each of them and have them feel very, very specific. And part of that was through their cultural backgrounds. Part of that was through thinking about what water is and does. And water can be healing and baptismal, and it can also be terrifying and murderous. And so kind of finding out where all of those things interacted. Like Namaka's is one of my favorite, and I thought about it because the kind of scene that I actually had in my mind, you all know that the cover by Israel Kamakiholi, I didn't say his last name right, of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over that version. He passed away some years back, and I saw a YouTube video of his funeral, and literally it was just a whole bunch of Hawaiians like in the sea on surfboards wearing leis, pouring his ashes there, and it was really beautiful. And so that was really the scene that I locked in with Namaka. And so again, just like thinking about Dante had just been through a storm that took his life, and I was like, well, who would personify that? So that's part of how that all worked, and I think I think, again, to that point of like introducing so many new characters at once, it was really just like quadrupling down on individualizing them as much as I could and connecting them. Also from like thinking about, these are 7 gods, and gods don't like working with gods. Gods like to be solo gods. And I was also just like, also giving them a different responsibility that they're in charge of allows them to feel a sense of autonomy, but also reinforces the fact that they need each other, right? And so, like, you can be a protector, and you can be the medicine person, and you can be the whatever. Just from, like, a functional level and, like, being political, it also felt like that would allow them to be more stable as a septenary, and not always just fighting for top dog relevance with each other. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other thoughts?
I mean, Jay killed that one. I don't know.
I know. I was like, he also wrote them. He had them in mind. I would think, I guess my only like 2 cents, and it's not really that relevant. But I also think of like the 7 sovereigns as kind of inside out. Of
The
that
ocean's emotions.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They may not always get along, but again, to Jay's point, like they need each other, even when they don't believe that they do. I think also what I do love about the sovereigns is that like all of them believe that they're right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to see that dynamic, and how they're having different goals, just like it's always like kind of creating like this kind of conflict. With them, like in general, but like also they're smart. They also see the value in each other. So just playing with that has been really fun.
Love that. All right. Well, that's enough of the questions. We're getting into a mini game, baby. So last week, Jay cheated because that's what he does.
Right.
But this week, as the writer, you better have all the answers, okay? Because this week we're playing Guess the Sovereign. I'm going to read to you a line that they said, and I want you to guess who it was that said it, okay?
Okay.
It's going to be great. There's no wrong answers, but there actually are wrong answers here, you know? Yeah. But this should be easy. I mean, there's some Namaka lines. Jay wrote the whole thing. Miguel listened to the whole thing. I just feel like y'all are going to be fine.
Okay.
You know.
I will always go last. I feel like I'm going to do well with this. I forget my writing all the time, but we'll see.
I think it's going to be great.
I am going to give confidence and know that I will probably get them all wrong.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All
let's
right.
go.
Well, some
Ready.
of them are your lines, so I hope.
No, I said what I said.
Okay.
Right. Always
No,
somebody
all right. Well, winner gets bragging rights for the next episode, so you're welcome. And I'm gonna do my best to act out the line. Okay, clearly I'm not in the show.
Queen.
Right? But I'm gonna try to give you the test question. This is the first test question. Let's see if you
This
get
is
it.
Tanithia's audition for season 2.
Exactly. It's basically
Yes,
what
yes.
she's saying.
Yes.
Got
So
it.
I will
Ready?
fight my way to the
Proceed.
top.
Right.
Okay. Ready? And you should
I'm
get
gonna use
this.
my platform.
Look, nepotism at its finest. We're related. You're gonna get this one. Ready? Look at me very clearly. Ready?
Yes. Hilarious.
Koi Koi Baloo.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Can't.
I knew you would get it. I knew you would get it. Because you're Jasmine. That's my best offender.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now that you guys have had a test question, the first question is, I respect how little I know. I don't know
Namaka.
what you two will do. Yes, Namaka. You're welcome. Trying to be
Wait, is
honest.
this a race?
Goddamn.
Are we racing each other?
Well, what I'm gonna
But I
say.
will not hold back. Okay.
Oh, that's true. I'm gonna say if you want to answer, there's not a hand raising feature on this here. Yeah, just raise your hand first. Whoever raises your hand first, I will see. Or say your name. Say your name. Raise your hand. I will.
Say your name. Say your name.
Okay, don't do that. Okay, the second question is, you preen in posture and say just the right thing, just the right way, to just the right person, twisting truths and as deftly as we do tides. It looks like Jay had his hand raised first.
Yeah.
That's Mananan. And funny story, we just left Zumba earlier today. Siobhan went to Zumba. And on our way out, we see Jay. So we saw Jay earlier today. Yeah. So shout out to Jay and Mananan.
Shout out to Jay. All right, next question. There is a time where you were something other than an ale-soaked, bumbling idiots, but it seems time dulls even the sharpest of blades. Jasmine.
Is that Salacia?
It is.
It is Salacia. Okay. Ooh, how ominous. This is fun. I like this.
Namaka.
Must be Namaka, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
sweeping.
you guys are getting.
I'm
Yeah,
sweeping.
you're literally sweeping. This is the
I
last
was leaving room
question.
for you. Well, okay. I'll take it. I got it. This will be the one for all.
This is the last one. And Miguel, just raise your hand, bub. Just raise your hand.
I raised my hand on the last one. It was just late. I'm sorry. I do the listening. I don't.
You know what? I'm gonna do, Miguel. I'm gonna let you guess first. Okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna let you guess
This is
first.
rigged.
It is because Miguel's Miguel. Okay. The last question is, another part of me wants so badly for this to be real, but if it's real and you all decide to kill me, then no matter which option is true, I'm either dead, dying, or about to die. Miguel.
That's our man Dante, isn't it?
Hey! We get it! He did it!
I know stuff sometimes, every once in a while, kind of, maybe.
Well, Jasmine still won, but you guys did great. You guys did great. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Love that.
Love it. I love it. Well, that is the end of our mini game. I should have come up with more episodes, but questions, but I didn't, so it's fine. Closing remarks. Thank you again for joining us, Jasmine. As always, Jay and Miguel. Thank you for listening to our third episode, everybody. Everybody. Do you all have any final thoughts or things you want to share about yourself? What you're doing? What's coming up next?
While people are thinking, Jay, when Dante says at the beginning of the episode, is something eating my arms or something like that? You just gave me like Cusco from Emperor's New Groove vibes. I just need to say that for you, because you hit me up a bunch, being like, "Should I re-record all this entire episode?" And I'm like, "No, stop it."
Very in my head about me.
Stop
Yeah.
it, because it was great. So, nice job. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing My Bloody Ink. That's what I'm doing. So
Yes. Yes. Truly, all of the lines. Dante was perfect. Perfect in this episode. Jasmine, any final thoughts?
I can. I mean, I would say artistically, this is what I'm doing. Is My Blood the Ink, which is fair. I hope that people listen to it. I hope that that you laugh. I hope that you're intrigued. And one thing I can promise, it's gonna get crazy. Okay?
Yeah.
It's gonna get real crazy. So if you're just like, I don't know, is this for me? Shh, press play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, I feel like we get one more episode of like kind of introduction-y stuff. A little bit, although there's some moments in episode 4 that I already know people will be talking about, that we knew as soon as we heard the way it was recorded that we are just like, oh, this is gonna be a moment. Um, uh, but yeah, to Jazz's point, like it's it's about to go down. And these sovereigns, they're gonna have an experience. The sovereigns are gonna have an experience. Yeah.
Oh
Here.
boy. Oh boy. Well, Jasmine, tell people where to find you on the social medias.
You can find me minding my business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really look. That's a really, you know, when you like when hold on when
when you
See, what happened was, see, I got to check in and save it.
basically
Yeah.
basically no. I mean, honestly, I do have like an Instagram, but it's not a professional one. It's just like a personal one. You can find me at akimsalchemy.com.
Amen.
I am an alchemist. If you are interested in producing your work or interested in the work that we do, hit us up there.
Amen.
Wow, just it must run in the company because you guys will pivot like nobody's business when you don't have an answer for something. It's okay.
Amen.
I'm a love y'all anyway. I'm a love y'all anyway.
You know what? Hell yeah.
Well, to close out, as usual, remember that as listeners of Dante's stories, you are now among a community of adventurers and story seekers. As you move through the world, remember the words of the divine Olokun. You are never alone. Open your eyes and see all those that make you who you are. You are loved, friend, and you are needed. And we stand with you. Again, happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Yes. And adere est facere. And so we dare, and so we do.
We do.
See you later.
Bye.